back to A Well-Designed Business. My name is LuAnn Nigara, and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company WindowWorks from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, welcome to A Well-Designed Business. For today's sponsored show, I'm excited to welcome back Terri Taylor, creator of the Interior Design Business Academy, an education and coaching resource that provides a unique mix of business strategies and systems along with powerful positive mindset practices to help you create meaningful success. Terri has appeared on the show many times and is one of our resident experts on budgets, knowing your value, and charging your worth. In the past, she has shared with us a breakdown of why flat fees are better than billing by the hour, how to calculate budgets on the fly, and some of the barriers that you face that keep you from charging your worth. Today, she's giving us an inside look at her upcoming Design Biz Summit, a 3-day event to help you develop the skills to know your worth, to charge it, and then to deliver on it. She's specifically sharing her insights on the importance of having the right money mindset and what you can do to stop undervaluing and undercharging. How about we get to that? Hey, Terri, thanks so much for coming back to A Well-Designed Business today.
Hi, LuAnn. Thank you for having me back. It's really fun to be here.
Terri, I love our shows together. I cannot tell you how often I refer people to the episodes that you've been on because you always come with a very straightforward strategy. And I literally was saying to somebody yesterday, you know what Terri would say. She would say the price and then say, pass the salt. And I had to explain what the pass the salt thing is because I just love all of the shows that you've been on. And what's interesting is today, you were saying to me, we haven't talked about mindset because mindset is the key. If that's in the right spot, then all the things that I've shared and taught your audience over these last several years fall into place easier. So talk to us a little bit about that, Terri, about mindset, and what do you want to teach us about it today?
Well, thanks. Yeah, it's really, really important. One of the things that I figured out 12 years ago when I started this was that if you didn't shift your mindset about what you thought was possible, that all the checklists and contracts and lists and scripts and all the things that we developed to make this easier are no good because you don't believe it could happen. Right? So we have to look at what are the reasons why. And I'm going to say we, okay, because I came from a very middle class background. My dad's a school teacher and a musician. It's like we always had a nice place to live and food to eat and clothes, things, but not a lot of extras, not fancy vacations, not new cars, not all of that kind of stuff. So my mindset around money was really built on just enough. We had just enough to get along. Just enough to get along.
And you felt good about the just enough. It didn't feel like not enough, but
yeah,
it was just enough. It was
just
great.
enough. Just
Right.
enough.
Yep.
No extras, but we made it just enough. So when I ended up single parenting and on my own and running my own business, I created just enough. Of course I did, because that's the way I was raised. That's what I thought I could do. And I thought I was doing good to get there. And it took the discovery of some Deepak Chopra tapes about abundance years and years ago. Actually, they're cassette tapes. That's how long ago that was. I started listening to and had this huge aha, this like, oh, that's not the way it has to be. That actually we co-create our situations. It doesn't just happen to us and we're a victim of it. It's we co-create with the universe, God, whatever you want to name it. We create what we're doing and our level of wealth, quite frankly. And once I started getting that in my head, and I probably listened to those tapes 200 times, I mean, over and over and over again, because it was very, very foreign. But essentially, what we're saying is that we pick up these ideas about money, about the value of things, the value of people, all of those pieces we pick up before we're 7 or 8 years old, right?
Mm.
And they're just little things that happen along the way that that tell us how we should act. I can remember when I had been about 10, and the neighbor got a new car, and I asked my dad how much a new car cost. And he said, "Oh, honey, we don't talk about money." Now,
Ah,
what he wanted me
right.
to know was don't ask the neighbor how much her car cost.
Right.
That's what he was
Right.
saying. But what I got was you don't talk about money. And I
Right.
was probably 45 before I figured out that that's not right, that that was not very helpful, that one needed to be able to talk about money, that it wasn't this taboo subject. And there's all this weird energy around money discussions.
Mm.
Weird, weird
Mhm.
stuff. I mean, to the point where we get in situations as designers and the typical, what's your budget? And they say, I don't know. And that's the end of it. It's like
Right.
you're scared to death to go any further. Well, the reality is that's our upbringing that's doing that.
Mm.
And when we can take a look at where that stuff came from, right, and dig into it a little bit because it's subconscious, and realize where that came from and observe it, identify it and observe it, then we can do something about it. We could actually
Right.
shift that belief a little bit so it supports us instead of gets in our own way.
Mm.
Because all those statements that I hear designers tell me all the time, "Oh, they'll never pay me that much." Oh, no, no, no. I help a lot of designers in our program put together the offers for their jobs. We literally look at the scope of work, we figure out how long it'll take, we look at the budgets, we connect all those pieces together and come up sometimes with these very, very large fees. And their reaction is going to be, "Ah, they won't pay me that much." That's crazy. How would I ever present that? How would I ever say that? How would I ever, and that is the reflection of our own money stories coming out about our own self-worth and what people will pay for things. And just because we wouldn't pay that much to somebody to do this for us, obviously because we do it our own, but that whole money thing doesn't mean that your ideal client won't. And
Right.
so when we make these judgments ahead of time about they will never do that, we keep ourselves stuck in this box,
Right.
you know?
Right. Right.
And you need to get out of the box in order to
Mhm.
be able to provide to clients all the things you do. I mean, designers have such great heart. They really just love what they do. They want to help people. They want to make environments that change lives. They love all the beautiful finishes and furnitures and fabrics and all that stuff. It's great, but when it comes to money, ah, we just get hit a wall, absolutely
Right.
hit a wall. And, if you don't get that piece worked out, you never get to do the jobs you want to do.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. We look, we're the product of our entire upbringing, all the stories, all the in the driveway stories with our parents at the dinner table, all the lessons that we were taught straight on and all the lessons that we inferred, right? But the thing is, it doesn't serve us if we're consistently processing what our client is thinking through our perspective because they are not processing it from our perspective. And so we have to separate ourselves, right? And I know we want to just say let go, but that's not so easy all the time, right? Terry, you work with dozens and dozens of designers. So when you get to the point where you recognize that somebody's got some mindset around their own money beliefs and their own money stories, what are some of the things that you do to help designers move through so that they can earn what they're worth?
Well, I think the first thing you need to look at is that those ideal luxury clients that we want grew up differently than we did and have different beliefs just right from the beginning about money. For them, money will always be there. It's always been
Mm.
there. It'll always be there, and it's not something you worry about. It's just a tool that you use to get what you want. Okay, it's a whole different
Mm.
direction than what we think about money as. Um, your ideal client grew up believing they deserve the best. Not even that they just want it,
Mm.
they deserve it. It should be there. Absolutely, it should be there. It's just part of who they are. And therefore, that's what they create in their lives. They enjoy.
And that's not even, let me just stop you there for a second, because it's not even when you are born with
Mhm,
wealth and you live in it the way you're
mhm.
describing. It's n it's not necessarily the stereotype of, like, when we think of that rich frat boy in the
Yeah,
movies where he's egotistical about money. You're talking about when they think they deserve it, it's just because the evidence of their life is that it's there, and it's not this thing that you're hanging and gripping to. It's just, as you said, it's a tool. It just is part of things. That's what you're describing. You're not describing the selfish, spoiled person. You're describing the person whose mindset about money is genuinely, it's there. There's enough of it. There's
yeah,
more of it. It's always going to be
mhm.
there, right?
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, yeah.
There are people like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, absolutely, and it's not a bragging thing, and to your point about the frat boys that are, that
Yeah,
image,
the stereotype.
money is like an amplifier. It's an interesting thing. Money
Mm.
amplifies who a person is. So if you got a guy who's a jerk and he's got a lot of money, he's going to be a really big jerk. Okay. And I think you'll pick up the
Great
red
point.
flags right away. You're going to know what you're getting into. On the other hand, I've had clients who have enormous amount of money who are amazing people who do incredible
Mm.
things with their money. I mean, the trusts they set up and the things that they get started are just phenomenal. Right. So,
Yes.
so
Yes.
having a
Yes.
judgment about who a wealthy person is one of those things from our side that could really just stop you in your tracks because you can't attract what you resent. Won't happen. Just
Right.
won't happen. It's just
Right.
not there.
Right.
So, it's a tricky spot. I remember doing a strategy session with a young designer who was telling me about what she wanted to do, and I mean she's good. She had enthusiasm, everything was there, and the last thing she said was, "But I just can't stand those people." And I went,
Ooh.
"Ooh." Uh-oh. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So there was a belief that they aren't like us. They don't have good values. They're mean and icky,
Mm.
whatever it was. But she was very, very grounded in that she had this big wall in front of her that she wanted to do all this stuff, but she couldn't do it with those people because they were awful. Now, you can't, as I said, you can't attract what you resent. You'll never get there.
That's
Right?
right. No, it's not going to work. The universe doesn't work that
Exactly.
way.
Exactly. So this is a little more about understanding that where they're coming from is pretty different than where you're coming from. I mean, to those ideal clients that you want, those luxury clients, less expensive is not a value. Let me say that twice.
Mhm.
Less expensive is
Yes.
not a value. Okay. Now they're not stupid about money. They're really smart about money, right? That's how they got there, right? So it's not that, but they expect to pay for what they're getting. They want good quality and they'll spend the money for it. But being cheaper, being less expensive isn't it. And if you're
No.
trying to do that with your business and your fees and your pricing and all that stuff, you will never get those ideal clients. You will never get there. Okay? Because it's not what they're looking
We've all
for.
had that we've all had that 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 situation where you get the quote to have the roof done, and one guy is 8,000 and one guy is 15,000 and one guy is
Mhm.
17,000. You do not like, yes, the 8,000. You immediately distrust that.
Exactly.
And especially if that company that shows up is also giving other signs, right? Like, hey, like all the things, like the truck isn't in good repair, or, running between two appointments, and, oh, I could fit you in. Like, it's when all the professionalism isn't
Mhm.
there and it seems lacking, and then the price is the lowest. That's not a fun thing. And it's not, I'm not saving 8,000. The luxury consumer who wants reliability and quality is looking at this whole thing and saying, I might have to decide between the 15 and the $17,000
Yeah.
guy, but this guy isn't even on the table,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly. Good point. Good way to illustrate that because that's exactly
Mhm.
what's happening. Yet I see designers over and over trying to get when they're struggling, they just keep lowering prices and digging the hole deeper, and spiraling
Mhm.
down into it. Really, really difficult. Okay. Another thing that high-end client believes and wants is exclusivity. That's a value. Okay. They
Mm,
don't want you to do this for everybody. They want you to be special to them. Okay. That
right.
and being special to them costs more. And they're fine.
That's
They're
right.
fine with it. Right?
Right. If you design them a custom sofa and it's $28,000, that's better than the one that everybody has for
Exactly.
$18,000, right?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Precisely.
Mm-hmm.
Precisely.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's looped into the thing that you have bragging rights now. It's custom, done just for me. Okay? And the experience is the other piece of that. They're spending money on experiences. So the experience of having the custom piece done and what the little pieces that they did that were part of it along the way was part of why that works. All right. So
Mm-hmm.
there's the
Mm-hmm.
mindset of that ideal client, of that luxury person. Now, we grew up with different ideas, right? We grew up a little bit
Right, right,
differently,
right,
right?
right.
I can remember my grandmother saying, "Money doesn't grow on trees." Right? I mean, that's an expression of lack. Okay, we're okay, but be careful because it might go away, kind of thing. Well, that has a lot of impression on a child. Okay, it's a lot
Mm-hmm.
of. How about you have champagne taste and a beer budget? Okay, I love
Right,
that one,
right,
right? Okay, now
right, right.
obviously you couldn't do this job unless you had champagne taste, right? But
Good
yeah,
point.
but that
But your bare budget is not relevant to
exactly, it's
this
not
job.
relevant.
That's the point,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, and
No,
it's not a compliment. It should be
no.
because that's our livelihood, but it's not meant as a compliment. For sure not. Save for a rainy day, there's another one. Remember my grandmother saying
Hmm.
that. It's like, "Oh, it might not be there, so you better be careful." And the last
Right.
one I'll throw out that's part of those things that we learn with a kid, and there's a lot of them. We look at a lot of different ways, but if you work really hard, you'll be successful.
Mm.
Okay? That's not exactly true. Not
No,
it
it's
it's
not.
not. It's not. I talk to designers who are working 60, 70 hours a week. I'm going, "What are you doing?" And they're just trying to give more and do more and be less expensive. But if you do more and more of the same thing, the result is more and more of the same thing. It's
Same
yeah,
thing.
yeah,
Yes.
it's not it's about working smarter, not working harder.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
people who are really, really successful don't work a whole lot. Okay. They know when they have to hustle, but quite frankly, they don't work a lot. They refresh a lot. They regain their energy again so that they can, when it's
Yes.
time to do what they do, have all that ready for everybody else. So,
Yeah. I love that.
like that,
Can I just interrupt
yeah,
you for a second
absolutely.
there? It's so funny because I want to make the point. It's interesting because um, successful, super uber successful people do have similar characteristics and traits in the way they run and manage their entire lives. To your point of making time for creativity, making time for space, for travel, for all of that stuff. They are not necessarily working 90 hours a week,
Right.
right? They understand when to work, when to create, when to, dream, when to take care of themselves, when to do all the things. And a lot of times, if we're raised in a certain way, to your point, if we work really hard, we will be successful. And it's a funny thing because it's something I've been coming to terms with personally over the last several years. I love what I do. So it's easy to work really
Mhm.
hard, but it's getting focused on and my work results in things. It's not that it doesn't, but it is different when you start to study those that are uber successful. And I love that you
Yeah,
brought that up.
it's an interesting concept because it's so opposed to what we grew up with. Of that,
The blue collar upbringing,
yeah, okay, you could do
right?
that, but you're gonna have to work really, really hard, that that sort of
Exactly.
thing. Uh, the scarcity mindset stuff comes up all over the place. There's those things about there's not enough to go around, or the idea that if you took more, somebody else would have less. We've
Mm,
talked about conversations that you overheard when you were a kid, where you realized your parents were worried about money, and you decided, well, I better not ask for anything because I don't want to make that
hmm.
worse, right? So what
Right,
what that
right.
is the in the concept is that, oh, if I take this, then somebody's going to lack, but that's not actually true. No,
No,
but you
no.
get that idea locked in your head when you're a kid. It's kind of you need to be able to identify it. because once you identify it and look at that, you go, oh, well, that's not true, actually. That's
Right.
not
Right.
what I have isn't going to affect my neighbor at all. Yeah.
Right. If I have it or don't have it,
Yeah.
the person next to me doesn't get it or not
Yeah,
get it.
exactly. Has nothing to do with that. The one that I dealt with a lot as a kid was artists are supposed to starve for their art. That one.
You were taught
That
that.
one. Yeah,
You were
well,
taught because your dad, with it being a
yeah,
musician, is that where
whole
that?
family of musicians, right? It was a widely held
Oh.
view, right? That okay,
Oh.
Terry, you're very artistic and you could draw and paint and do all those things, but you can't make a living doing that. You got to go be a teacher or a nurse because you got to have a day job,
Oh.
and then you could do that. That was the messaging.
Wow.
Well, it's not true. I've proven that. You've proven that. We're all
Right.
proving that. That's not actually it. But that's a really strong, strong message when you're a kid that I had to uncover and realize that that's why I was stuck in that place of just enough,
Mm.
just get by, that sort of thing. And once I realized what that was and took a look at it and realized that I could co-create what I really wanted for myself, everything shifted. Everything shifted, right? And once I realized that uh, the money piece of what my clients had for money was way different than what I had for money, and kind of pulled that out of the equation, so I just gave them what they wanted, everything started happening. Then I started getting paid. Then it was way more than just enough. It was way better.
Yes.
So this whole piece is about identifying what it is underneath there, that's driving this idea that you can't charge that much, that they won't pay you that much, or the or not having the courage to say, my this job, we've agreed that this budget is going to be $300,000, and my fee to do that is 47,000. The whole
Mm-hmm.
idea of being able to say numbers like that can be really, really challenging, right? And that's
Mm.
coming out of a childhood thing too, where we don't talk about money, right?
Right. Right. Right.
Right,
Right.
right.
Right. You can't run a business and not talk about
That's
money, for
true.
crying out
That's
loud.
true. That's true. And what I one of the things that we've worked with our designers on is you got to start with your family. Okay? If you
Mm.
can't talk about money within your family, you're not going to be able to do it within your business. So you really, really need to start at home and start practicing having money conversations that aren't charged with emotion or anger or upset or whatever. It's just money. Okay, it doesn't have to be hooked together that well. And then once you get to that piece, then the ability to be actually to say those numbers to your client and pass the salt, is
Yep.
that
I
piece,
love
right?
that line.
Without emotion, without being
Mhm.
scared, without having any weird energy behind it, it all starts opening up and falling in your lap, right? And so
Mm.
what I know to be true is that once we work through these things, and we do this in IDBA in our coaching programs. We also do this in Summit, which is coming up very shortly. We'll talk a little more about that. But it's part of the training of learning how to do a design fee and how to pull a budget, is learning what it is that you had underneath there that you keep tripping over, right? And pulling it out
Yes.
and saying, okay, if I pulled this out and I changed it to something else, what would happen? Well, all kinds of things can happen. The whole world opens up, because what happens when that
Exactly.
mindset shifts and you get rid of some of that baggage that's holding you back, and it's not that hard to do. It's not like you change into a different person. You just look at a particular belief and say, okay, how could I shift that so it supports me, instead of creates a wall in front of me? And once you do
Mm.
that,
And it's
the rest of this technical stuff, all the how-to stuff that I teach, all the letters of agreement and the systems and the scripts and how you do this and how you talk about money, it gets really, really easy. It's just kind of
yes.
like the door just opens.
Well, and it's the thing is, what's interesting is, and I'm sure you've had the experience with so many that have come through your coaching program of both ways. Sometimes I love that you talk about the money, the mindset part. And I love that you address it head on and you have that as part of what you're doing. And I know that sometimes the mindset conversation, you really can get it unlocked. And it doesn't often happen in one conversation. It might happen in 3 or 5 or
Mhm.
10. Um, but the thing about it is that that's why I love your coaching and what you do, is because you're also teaching the skills, the contracts and the skills and the estimating and all of that. Because when you work on them together, there comes a moment, I have found with many designers, window treatment professionals as well, where when you actually are delivering a good process, a good quality experience on top of the commodity product of the end result, when you are doing it and you've done it and you've been able to duplicate it, that's when you actually start to say, oh, this isn't that easy to do. I've had to do a lot of work in order to deliver this. And if you're then having the mindset coaching at the same time, that's the marriage of it.
Yes.
It's like the realization that, oh, I've just been giving away too much. Like, oh, it's easy for me to design because I love it. It's like, no, no, no. Let me actually take apart all that I deliver in this,
Yeah.
and then understand that, like you said, look at the mindset problems, look at the mindset beliefs that you've got. And that they have to come together,
Yes.
right? They
Yes.
have to come together.
Mhm. Exactly.
And it's that coming together, and it's just like almost like, George Costanza, worlds colliding. It's like,
Or magic. Oof. There it
yes,
is.
right.
There it is. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, yes, because you have to have the realization. You have to know that you're gonna deliver a good thing, right? You can't just you can believe that you're worth something, and maybe you have enough compunction and have enough conversations where you can say the figure and pass the
Mhm.
salt. But if you actually can't deliver, then there's going to be something in the evidence of what you're doing that knocks it down, and then your belief of that worth that money is gonna get knocked
True.
down. And so now you're going to chase your
Mhm.
tail, right?
Right.
But if you're working on your process and your system and the deliverable at the same time you're addressing your mindset, now you're getting yourself into that sweet spot,
Exactly.
right, Terry?
Exactly. Yeah. It is the
Mhm.
combination of the two. And one doesn't work
Mhm.
without the other. It's both
Right.
pieces at the same time. And it's just kind of a miracle. So it happens.
Yes.
It's
You know what? You know what I just, you don't mean my crazy analogies. You know what I just heard in my head when you said that? Like one doesn't work without the other. It's like you're an amazing opera singer and you have absolutely no confidence. You sing in the shower, you sing in the garden, you sing in everywhere. But when you go on stage, you absolutely have this mindset belief that you can't sing in front of an audience and you can't do it. You are technically completely talented and you can't do
Mhm.
it. So it's the process without the mindset. But then what if you just have this mindset that I'm amazing? This is
Mhm.
great. I've got this. I can go on stage and I can sing an
Mhm.
aria. And then you get out there and you're like
Mhm.
screeching and you're having a great time because you're singing an aria and you believe you're amazing. And to me, that's that thing. It's like when a designer has the belief that they're worth something and they're willing to charge it, but they don't have the process to back it up, it's screeching on stage. But if you have that talent and you're limiting yourself because of your mindset, we're not getting that
You're
talent,
right.
right?
You're right. You're right. And it is
Yeah.
my belief that that talent is a God-given gift and that you're
Mm,
supposed to share it. That's why you have it,
right.
right? So
That's right.
if you've got
Hone it and make it better,
exactly,
but share it.
exactly, and use it to help people, and that's why it's there. So to
Hmm.
not go after the mindset and the technical piece you need to be able to bring that to people and do your life's work, your purpose, right? That is a
Right,
sad
right.
thing, right? We don't want to go there.
Yes.
We don't want to go there. And so I don't know. I really enjoy teaching mindset and talking about mindset and watching
Mm.
the things open up. We've had a lot of amazing things happen just in a 3-day event. Where we're like summit, where we do 3 days and we do a mindset piece every day, and it builds and it gets intense at one point. It gets very intense,
Wow.
and after the intensity, we have chocolate just because that's a good thing to do after you go through all that. So, you know,
Do you give out little blankies and cups of milk too? Like
yeah,
you're just like, okay, go in a
all of that.
ball and regroup. It'll be
All
fine.
of that, yeah, yeah. We also use movement. I use movement because I use a lot of movement. I dance, and have a movement practice. I dance 2 or 3 times a week, in movement,
Mm,
and movement is a way of letting what's in your brain filter down into your body. So,
yes.
we do have movement practice in Summit every day with a friend of mine who's um, a movement teacher and a psychologist, and knows how to put these things together. But once you start taking these thoughts you've had and what you discovered that day, and then start moving it your body with that thought in mind and moving through it, it actually gets
Mm,
out of your head and into your heart and your gut, where actually 2/3 of your intelligence actually lives, and you start being
mm.
able to access it as something that's just there, not something you have to think about. Right.
Oh, I love
So
that. Like it's like you're getting it in your DNA,
exactly,
right?
exactly. You're getting it down deep so they don't have to think about it. And I've I've danced amazing things into fruition. Ideas that have just been in movement and movement. And when you can clearly see it and feel it in your body, it you'll create it. I mean, it's
I love
literally
it.
you have that essence to make it happen. So it's
I
really
love
fun.
it.
It's really fun.
Your summits do sound amazing, and it just still all the components happen in your summits, and your next one is coming up in
It
November,
is. It
right?
is.
And so it's November 13, 14, and 15. Each day is all
Mhm.
day. And this one is focusing on how to confidently and gracefully charge 35K plus design fees without breaking a sweat. You always like nail the line there. I love the
Thank you. Yeah, I like the not break a sweat thing because that's
That's
really
it.
what it's about is right. Yeah,
That's right.
that's
That's right. You got to own it.
yeah, this is what I'm
Yeah.
worth. This is what it is. Take it or leave it, right? Okay, you take it.
That's
Fine,
it.
let's do this. Yeah. Very, very
I
cool.
love it.
Yeah, so I will be
Oh,
teaching for 3 days. It's 3 full days of me on Zoom, okay? And actually the members in our coaching groups are our students and people as well as this is the one we invite outside world to, right? Is I think
right.
this particular piece is about how you get a budget from a client in about 10 minutes in the first appointment. Okay. And you
I
get
love that.
budget agreement. You don't tell people what the budget is going to be, because if you do that, somebody will come along behind you and tell them it's $5,000 less, and they'll hire them, and
Mm.
we all know it's going to be 20,000 more than what they started with. So, I mean, it's ridiculous, right? Right. So
Right.
what we're after is budget agreement, and I teach you how to do that. It's really fun to do. You get agreement once you have budget agreement, then you actually know what the scope of the job is, and you can call out a fee. Based on that number while you're standing there, and literally walk out the door with a check on a first appointment. We have people
I
doing
love
it
it.
over and over again. It's really easy. So this is about furniture jobs primarily. Um, it's building a fee. It's knowing what that fee should be, because quite frankly, design fees are closely tied to what the spend's going to be. In other words, if
Mhm.
somebody's got a $10,000 budget for a living room, which you don't want because you can't do it, you can't charge them $5,000 to do that. Now you're really, really in a
Right.
hole.
Not going to
Yeah,
work.
it's not doable. One of the great things about being able to do a budget on the fly quickly like that is that you qualify that customer immediately, and you get to decide
Mm.
whether you want them or not. I mean, they
Right.
may want you, but your 10 grand, 20 grand living room isn't going to happen. And you can very gracefully say, this is going to be a great project. I know it's going to be beautiful. Here's your budget. I don't think there's room for me, but off you go, and maybe you could try this, or you make a recommendation,
That's
right?
it.
And so you're not going back with a letter of agreement and trying to sell something you can't sell, and then do a design that people can't afford. You get in that whole bundle of things that goes over and over. This way you have a budget, you have a clear scope of work, you got a clear fee, takes about 15 minutes altogether, and then you're in,
Yeah.
you're out. Which
Yeah.
way you want to
Yeah.
go?
Yeah.
You know?
I've said to you before, like at Exciting Windows, we teach the Make a Friend 7-step sales
Mhm.
process. And that is the whole premise of it, is being able to eyeball estimate one window, 30
Yeah.
windows. in
Doesn't matter.
15 or 20
Mhm.
minutes and let's find out. Am I bringing all the crap out of my car to show you here and measuring all these things and
Mhm.
helping you decide between white and off white for your cell shade? Like, no,
Yeah.
right? Like, there's your budget. Oh, you thought that was going to be a third of that?
Mhm.
Thanks. Have a great
Yeah.
life. Or let's switch to a different product or
Mhm.
blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah. It's the qualifying process and the ability to tactfully, respectfully, knowledgeably qualify and establish a budget investment within that first 20 minutes of being on site is a game changer for
Absolutely.
both of our industries.
Yeah.
Game changer.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because it's all about the money. Sorry, but it's
Right.
all about the money. It really is. It
Yeah,
really is.
exactly. I say to you guys all the time, I expect when you're done, the room will look great.
Yeah.
I'm not
Mhm.
debating that. I just want to know how you're going to do it for me and how much is it going to
Yeah.
cost me? And are you, like, is it going to be good
Mhm.
process?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
this is a method of doing that. It's fast, it's easy,
Yes.
it's fun to do. You practice a few times with a friend in a living room, bring a bottle of wine, just kind of mess with it, get comfortable with it, and then do it. And literally, I mean, if you want to, first of all, we do paid appointments. We don't do freebies, right? And always,
Okay.
but having a budget for what their project costs becomes a great deliverable for a paid first appointment. Here's what you get at the end of this appointment. You're going to know what this thing's going to cost. You do it or not,
I
it's up to
love
you.
that.
But you know, this is what you'll have.
Can I stop you there for a
Uh-huh.
second? Do you know that you guys know that every single time I have a conversation with especially a business coach in the space, I'm always processing your information as a consumer. And even when you as a designer come on the podcast and you tell me something that you do, I always am like, would I like that as a consumer? Like that sounds crazy or that sounds
Mhm.
great. And literally what I just heard you say is your philosophy is you charge for every consultation and one of the deliverables of the consultation is I will give you back the budget for the project that you described to me. And the thing is, I just heard that. Like, that's a great
It is.
deliverable. And I know there are designers that are probably thinking, wait, the only thing they get is I tell them how much the stuff is going to cost. Like, as a consumer, that is gold information for me right there. I don't know if I think this job is going to be 40,000 and you tell me it's going to be 100,000. I would much rather know that before I convince my husband or my partner to get knee deep into this. I would much rather know it so I can say, well, I'm going to do it now or I'm going to do it after I pay
Mhm.
for freshman year of
Uh-huh.
college for my kid. Like, that's a valid deliverable. I love that,
Yeah.
Terry.
Thanks.
Valid
Thanks. Yeah,
deliverable.
I do too. I it's and the trick with this budget is not you telling them what the budget is, but it's you drawing out of them what they're comfortable with paying for individual things. Right?
Right. You're not just
They have no
Yeah, you're not
idea what it
plopping
all
a
adds up
budget.
to,
Right.
right? That's the
Right. Right. But that's very clear in there too. It's not like you're coming in and designing a room at level 10 and you're not gathering my information. You're gathering my information through the conversation and maybe I want a 5 room or a 3 room and you are capable of a 10, but because you've gathered the information, you're going to nudge me. You're going to push me out of my box a
Oh
little
yeah.
bit. I'm
Mhm.
expecting that. I came to a designer. I didn't go to a box
Right.
store, but I love that too. It's just not an arbitrary budget. You've given a budget based on what I've said to you is important to me and where things matter and
Ex
where they don't and what I'll stretch on and what I won't.
Mhm.
Love that.
Exactly, and that
I
tells
love
that
that.
potential client you're listening to them, and that's one of
That's
the
right.
biggest things that has to happen in this conversation, is they have to feel like you're listening and that you get it,
Yes.
right?
That's why it's so valuable. That's why I'm processing it like I'm like you all can tell when I get like excited. It's like okay, something just happened. I'm like, "Oh my god." Because that is it. As a consumer, if I really feel like you heard me, I still might be surprised. I still might have said I thought it was going to be 60 and it's
Mhm.
90. But if I really feel like you heard me, I actually just know that 90 is more realistic, and that's important for
Uh-huh,
me to know.
exactly, exactly, and if the comeback is, "Gee, I thought this would be 50," you could say, "Well, it could be. What do you want to take out?"
That's it. No chandelier, no area rug, no wall
Mhm.
knocking down. Yeah, just
What
tell me. It's no different than at the
Yeah,
restaurant. Like, I
exactly.
don't want this dessert. Okay, take it off.
Exactly. It's
I
à la
love
carte,
it.
but
I love it.
it all adds
That's
up.
it.
This is what it would be. Yeah, so it's really a really, really good sales tool. It's really, really good benefit to the client. It's a really, really good benefit to the designer because now you got a budget and scope. You know what this is, and you can decide if you want it or not, right?
Yes,
Because if you got somebody who wants $2,500 sofas, you know this isn't going to be a job, right? But
that's
you
right.
can very gracefully finish that budget out and hand it to them and gracefully excuse yourself. And you gave them the
Right.
gift and you helped them, right?
I love
So
it. I love
it's
that.
all good.
Because look at what if my budget really is $15,000 for a
Mhm.
living room, right? Like, what if it really is? And so, there with your expertise, you can say, well, you probably can only spend two on a sofa and 500 on a rug. And,
Well,
you got to go to Marshall's for the lamps and they're going to be $80 a piece, but here's your budget.
mhm.
And it's like no animosity, no angst.
Yeah, no
You got
angst,
paid for the
no
appointment.
judgments.
Yeah,
Yeah, no nothing.
right.
Just here's what a room would cost. Yeah. And then
And the thing is, I'm so sorry. I get so excited when you come, and I always talk over you. But the thing is, like, what I'm saying is that this is probably the smallest percentage of people that actually do not have a realistic budget, right? So this is going to happen once in a while. And once in a while could be once a week or once a month, depending on your pipeline, right? But the point is, you are teaching how I'm not hours and days in a rabbit hole before I figure this out.
exactly.
And that person can go on and you can go on and everybody feels like they got what they agreed to. And by the way, I'm sure, Terry, you've had people that have told you the budget is 30, and when you told them it was 80 and they said no thanks, they probably, some of them have called you later and said, now we figured out how to come up with another 50K. Well, isn't that crazy pants? Right? Like, right?
People do find the money for what they want.
That's
They do.
it.
They
Especially
do.
if they think you respected them,
Huh.
you listened to them, you made a connection with them,
Exactly. And
right?
there's another
Yeah.
piece in there. If somebody does have a budget, and very often it's just based on a number they pulled out of the air somewhere, right? That's the air number.
Right.
The phrase is great. Well, let's figure out how we'd spend that. Okay, now we're back in the budget. And without saying that's not enough, we're just going to say, well, let's put a couple sofas in front of the fireplace. What are you comfortable with paying for a sofa? Well, now we need an area rug. Now we need
Right.
a cocktail table. Now you just stop adding it up. And when you get to the end, obviously it's not $30,000 anymore. It's considerably more. But those are all individual prices that they agreed that would be a good price to pay for that. Okay.
Right. Where there's no hoodwinking happening. They're building it with
Mm-hmm.
you and understanding. And then it's just like,
Oh,
oh, right. This isn't real.
oh,
Where did I get that crazy number from
yeah,
anyway?
yeah, exactly, exactly. So,
Yes.
and we just do it on a piece of paper. You just do it on a yellow pad, right?
Yes.
You're just writing things down, and then you just tear it off and hand it to them. The rule is don't talk. He who speaks first loses.
Yes.
And they're like, all right,
That's
just put it
right.
out there and see what they say, right? And
Mhm.
if it's, I got to
Mhm.
show this to my husband, great. Guys like numbers.
Right.
They love it. Wow, a
Right.
budget.
Right.
And something will come back changed. But do you care? I don't care if we
Yeah.
had a $4,500 cocktail table and now it's 35. I don't care. I just want a number.
Mm.
Because once you've got that
Right.
number, you can rearrange everything inside of it. It's just that
Right.
if 45,000 is the budget for their job, you come in at 44,912, right?
Right.
Just under. And you're in. Right?
That's
And
it.
we don't
And
have
you did your
then
job.
people fainting and falling on the floor when they see the price. They love the design and then you present the price and they faint. Well, you didn't set it
Right.
up in the beginning, and now you have to go and get caught in that and then you got to do it over. So now you make less on the
Mm.
product and you do the time over and it's a lose-lose all the way
Right,
through.
because you're investing hours and hours in these revisions, and this
Exactly.
is
Exactly.
and I have to say the consumer, especially the luxury consumer that we started
Mhm.
with, and whether the luxury consumer has a $50,000 budget for a room or a $500,000 budget for a room or an area, the reality is they also appreciate a professional
Yes.
that can come and get to an intelligent part of the conversation quickly.
Exactly.
Right? Don't keep telling me, "I don't know, I'm not sure, I have to figure it out." I'm
No,
sorry.
no.
This is the visit. Like, if you don't know, who knows? Does Santa Claus knows, like, what's going on, right? Like, that's
It
aggravating.
is.
That's
It is.
aggravating. And especially the luxury consumer, because the level of service and expertise at that level that's expected, when you come across with it at every point, now it keeps reinforcing that finally when we get there, I'm good,
Yeah.
as opposed to dropping the ball all along the way. I mean, I remember when I first started working with designers individually, and we would have these conversations, and I'd be like, well, people want me to give them a budget. And they would be, how can I be expected to give them a budget? And I remember very beginning of this 6-7 years ago thinking, well, why do you think you don't have to? Like, if you can't guesstimate it, what the heck? I'm supposed to guesstimate
Yeah.
it? Like,
It's like
what do you think your job here is? I don't get this. Do we just write a check and however else it ends up at the end of 6 months is okay? Like, that's
it
illogical,
is. You're
right?
right. You're right.
Yeah.
Yet it happens all the time, and it's something that designers are doing to people that makes them crazy and makes jobs go awry and makes things fall apart and jobs stop halfway through because you hit a budget ceiling you didn't know was there. There's a whole
Right.
litany of stuff that comes out of that. So if you're the pro, that's been my attitude about this, is you're the professional. You need to know. And actually you
Hmm.
do know. You've done enough of these jobs. We have cheat sheets, right? You go good,
Right.
better, best. We want everybody to have a good, better, and best vendor in their business, right? This is the
Right.
lowest price sofa I can do. Here's the top end. It can go on forever, obviously. But then, what is it? Sofa, chair, love seat, sectional, chaise, occasional chair, da da da, all the way down the line. You can just go look up those prices. I made a sheet like that for a
Right.
giveaway. It took me 45 minutes, right? You just look up the
Yeah.
prices.
Yeah.
It's not rocket
Yeah.
science, you know. I
No.
think
And you do have the data. You
you
have the
have the
data. You
data.
just have to take the
Yeah,
time to actually think about
yeah,
it like a professional.
exactly. And I mean, you could do it with window coverings too. I mean,
Yep, we
you got
do.
pictures of the stuff you did, right? So keep the
Mhm.
pictures, put the size of the window, put the size of the cost of the fabric. All right. Say, all right, your window's
Mm.
twice as big. You want this twice as big. Fabric's twice as much. Well, that's probably going to be, I don't know, 18,000. You good with that? So what can you do with that when you can talk with prices like that with your clients? They're impressed with your professionalism and your knowledge. And it's just a matter of a little research and keeping some notes on the side so that you can do this. It's not
Exactly.
rocket science.
Well, and the thing is, going back to that luxury consumer again. So your garden variety human that has never dealt with or has less often dealt with high-end luxury experiences, they will be impressed by it. They will be like, "Whoa, this is an amazing experience." The luxury consumer expects
Mhm.
it,
Yes.
right? We're not, anything that you do, if you ask a realtor to show you houses, well, how much is this house? I don't know. Let's just walk through it and see if you like it. No,
No.
I mean,
Uh-uh.
is it 5 million or 2 million or 500,000? Like, I don't want to go in if it's 5 million,
Mhm.
right? Or it's like you would never accept that from another
Yeah.
professional. How about this car? Do you want this car or this car? I don't know. How much are they? Oh, I don't know. Let's just see which one you like. Like,
Uh-uh.
you would never accept that from another professional. Yet the design industry, until they get some chops, until a designer gets some season, it's very typical for them to say, well, how do I know what the budget is yet until I design it? It's like, no,
You
sweetie,
can't
that's
do that. Yeah.
backwards.
That's not
Mm-mm,
it.
it's backwards.
That's not it.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nope, you got to give me a number.
Exactly.
You can give me a range, and I advise you to give me higher number than you think it
Mhm.
is. Like, don't anchor a low number that
You
are,
can't
you know what I mean,
Yeah, that you
right?
can't live with. Yeah. If you got a guess,
No.
we'll bump it by 20%, 30%, something.
Exactly. If
Yeah.
you think it's 50, tell me
Yeah.
70.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm
Mhm.
saying?
Come in at
Exactly.
60 and
Because
you're
that's
golden.
fine.
Yeah. You're
That's
yeah.
right. Because you know what? I always say to window treatment professionals when I'm talking with them about this, because this is what I train in exciting window sales every month, is if somebody is going to spend 50, they'll spend 60. If somebody is not going to spend 50, they're not You know what I mean? Like, in other words, so whatever the budget is that you guesstimate in
Uh-huh.
your head, bump it because you are going to anchor that lower number. And you are guessing based on data, and you're guessing based on good
Mhm.
data and good experience. But things happen. People fall in love with a particular rug or a
Yeah.
chandelier or something, and you don't want to be in that box. But the thing is, the person that is okay with 50, 60, 70 is going to be okay with it. If they're not okay with 50, if they needed to spend 20, they're not okay with 50 or 60 is what
It's
I'm
true.
trying to
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
So thinking 50 and saying 60 is not a problem,
Exactly. And
right?
in playing with numbers that way, if you don't have done the research and written it down so you can look at it, that scarcity piece from your childhood about things should be less expensive, you're going to call out a bottom number instead of a top number, and that's how you get in trouble. That's that's that
Exactly.
back in that
Exactly.
mindset loop thing again, where once you get
That's
rid
right.
of that and you have and we like to do lots of mind hacks, like having all those numbers in front of you, so you're not guessing, you can
Yes.
look at it and go, "Oh, well, you know, okay, now I know." You can make reasonable,
Yes.
educated guesses because you've got that information. And, you can do it with construction
Exactly.
stuff too. I mean, you should know what it costs to put a wood floor in or put a stone floor in.
Mm.
What is it? How much
Hmm.
a foot? Okay, you can walk the
Right.
square footage
Right.
out and go, all right, we're talking $30,000. You good with that? I'd rather do
Right.
that than do all the research to figure out what a French limestone floor would cost and source it and talk to find the right installer that could do it. And, there's like 10 hours of work there and then come back and say, okay, it's 32,000. They go, oh my God, I got to do that. That's crazy.
Right. I thought it was going to be
Yeah,
five,
yeah,
yes.
exactly,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this piece about being able to talk about money and getting people to talk about money, they will talk about what things cost. They don't want to talk about how much money they have or what they're going to spend, but they'll be happy to talk about what things should cost. Okay?
That's a great
Yeah,
distinction.
so you're just gathering what things cost, right? And having
Right.
some backup. So that's what Summit's about. That's the whole piece there. And it's a step-by-step procedure. It's a recipe, as usual. You do this, you do
Mhm.
that, you do this, say it like this, and you'll get a yes answer. It's just it's we've
Yeah.
done it hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times with people all over the country, actually out of the country. We're into Canada and actually Australia. We've got a lot of
Yes.
spread these days. It works. It just works because that's the way people want their information to come at them. So this three
I
days
love it.
teaches you how to do it. There's a lot of mindset there. We also, all of the workbooks and the scripts and the lists, the flow charts. There's a whole lot of backup stuff in there. It's everything you
Yeah, you
need.
have the templates and LOA examples and
Exactly.
checklists and all of that,
Exactly.
and lots of Q&A time you also build
Yeah,
in, which
I
is
I
important.
do because I want to make sure that everybody got it. I want to make sure that you can walk out of this 3 days and be able to do it on your next job and have us send me the email say, yeah, I did it. I threw it out there and she didn't even hesitate. She said yes right then and there and wrote me a check
That's it.
just
That's
like
it.
that.
Pays for the course.
Yeah. So
Pays
that's
your
what we're
first job
after.
that you
Yeah.
close pays for the
And we
course.
we
Yep.
spend a few hours as a group doing breakout groups with real life scenarios, things that happen. I collect
Mm,
them, and each group gets a different scenario and figures out what the fee should be. We come back and present it to everyone because I
love it.
want you to be able to take the information I'm giving you and actually apply it to a real life situation. Since people say weird things
Love
to
it.
us and it comes in weird stories, and you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
So,
yes, the
so
real life objections and the questions that
yeah.
you can't teach for unless you're collecting the data like you are. That's
Exactly,
awesome.
exactly. So that when you finish this 3 days, you actually know how to do this and know how you could apply it to your job and know just what you would do. So that's the
Love it.
deal. That's what we're doing. We're in super early bird pricing right now. Okay, so this is really good time to jump in. It's $15.97 for the 3 days, which is a really great deal. This is a 7, 8 hour a day training, so this is not for the faint of heart. So block your calendars for November 13, 14, and 15, and I'm going to show you how you can charge a 35K design fee without breaking a sweat. Tickets will be quite a bit more before the end, but in super early bird, it's a great day. Okay, and there's special bonuses in the super early bird part, which are really cool, like project time estimating, which is one of our classic pieces, which is a training and an Excel setup that you keep on your desktop, where you could figure out your time based on the hours you think it'll take you to do jobs. And it's set up, programming, schematics, design development, project management, all the way down the line with individual tasks that you can put an hour here, an hour there. You can put your assistant's time in it. It'll calculate the fee for you. So that works really well on places where you can't get a budget to match to, like new construction, right? I mean, it's just there's so much time it's going to take to lay all that out, and we need to know that. That came right out of my studio from my days in business. So that's a really cool piece. And then we're doing another auxiliary workshop. It happens before Summit. It's called Stepping into Your Luxury Mindset. And that is like a precursor to some of this mindset stuff. That it's a really fun workshop to do. And it's the beginning of starting to think about what is it that got, you know, what is it that keeps you thinking they won't pay me that much, right? We're going to start digging into that. So it's kind of nice to do a little of that work first and let it rattle around in your head before you get to the big event and really get into the big juicy stuff. So that's really good. And then we've also got a Build a Team webinar for you. That's a recording. It's a really good one. And it's about team building, basically from a single practitioner and how you would build that out piece by piece. And just a hint, you don't hire a design assistant first. Okay. You keep that stuff for yourself. Just a little hint about what that's about. But it's a really good basic course for thinking about how to go from a designer with some helpers to an actual business and build that framework. So those are really cool. There's actually $5,800 worth of bonuses there, but it's right now. You got to do it pretty quickly.
So these separate things throughout the year, they're available for purchase by everyone. And together they come up to $5,900. But what you're saying is if someone signs up for early bird at $1,597, you get those three things included?
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. And they are not available any other time of the year. They're all stuff that's within our coaching program. And I just do 3 levels of coaching. We don't have anything else. There's no little pieces along the way. It's you're in or you're not, right? So these are things that they're for my students, that I share for this. And I think you should have them. They're really cool. They'll really help you along. So you want to go to interiordesignbusinessacademy.com to sign up for the summit. It is November 13, 14, and 15, 3 full days. Me, lots of Q&A time with me, a lot of spaces. We spend a lot of time just answering questions. We use the chat, we talk to people, we move back and forth. It's a fairly small group. I don't get over about 120. I max it at because I want to be able to talk to you. If I get more than that, I can't one-on-one you. So I want to make sure everybody gets it, right? So that's coming up. You can grab your tickets now. If you go to interiordesignbusinessacademy.com, you'll see the pop-up. Just click on the pop-up. It'll take you to the information page. It'll tell you all about it. Should have everything you could think of there. If there's something you don't, then call us. We'll be happy to talk to you about it. All there, but grab your seat now because it does fill up fast and I'm excited about it.
And the closer you get to the event, the more expensive the tickets become.
Yes, this is true. And the bonuses go away. So
and the bonuses go
Yeah.
away. Okay.
Yeah, so
Okay.
do it now.
When is the early bird and the bonuses ending?
10 days from today.
Do we know? Okay. Okay. And we're in 2023, just in case you're listening to this in the future,
Yes.
because I often send people back to your
Good.
episodes to listen to because the content is so good. Like the lesson is there. If you're listening in a year or 2 years from now and you miss this particular summit, you're still getting good information to take to your business. So 2023, we're in fall of 2023.
Good
All right.
Good point.
Yeah.
These do have shelf life. So
That's right. That's right. That's right. Well, this is amazing. And of course, your summits, I've gotten tons of feedback over the years of designers that have joined your summits, and they do come away really enjoying, the work, the camaraderie, the dancing, the chocolate, all the
All of
things.
those things, the mindset shift, and
Exactly.
being able to call out fees and really get paid what you're worth, which
That's
we
the
all
secret
deserve, right?
sauce there.
Yeah.
Yes, 100%. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for being back on the show with me again, Terri. I always absolutely love our conversations.
I
Thank
do
you.
as well. Thank you so much, LuAnn. Bye-bye.
Okay, so that's a pretty powerful look at money mindset, right? Everything that Terri said tracks not only with everything I've heard from other successful people, but read and all of the things, but also it tracks with my own experience in business and in life. Okay. Many of us didn't grow up with parents with money. Many of us did. It doesn't matter. Okay. What matters is whatever the stories we heard, regardless of what the reality was. That's the whole thing, right? You could have really wealthy parents that were constantly talking about saving money, and that creates this scarcity of money in you, regardless of the fact that there was plenty of money to have. And then the opposite is true, right? You could have grown up in a family that really didn't have money, that really didn't have savings, but their frame of mind was, hey, there's a money tree in the backyard. We'll just do whatever we want. So the idea is that it's not really the facts of the money in our growing up years. It's the stories of the money, okay? And not all of those stories are inherently bad, okay? However, I do think we'd be fooling ourselves if we didn't admit, myself included, that we probably do have some money mindset things to unlearn. I can easily think about my own stories that are in my head from my upbringing, from all of the things. And the truth is, some of them serve me really well in business. They do. But I also know some do not. And Terri is absolutely right. Those stories, those money stories, and our relationship with money is formed at this young age, okay? And I also want you to understand money isn't about status or selfishness, okay? It isn't wrong to want more profitability in your business. Money itself isn't necessarily the goal. The goal is what the money can do for you, for your life, and for those around you. Terri mentioned that she knows designers who are working up to 90 hours a week and not earning a solid living. That's not right. Is that you? Is that the life you want? Because let's be serious for a moment. If you're not profitable and you're not willing to change your mindset, to change how you charge, then you 100% can be a successful interior designer, happy, fulfilled, working for someone else. There's no shame in that. And I'm not being flip about it. There is a place for every single one of us in this industry. But if you do want to run your own business, you do want more for yourself, you do want to create profit and wealth, then you have to give yourself permission to charge what you are worth. You have to stop talking yourself out of your profits, underestimating your expertise, and you have to stop saving your clients money. The luxury client is not looking for a coupon or a discount. They want someone who brings something special to the table and who will deliver on it. This is why Terri Summit is so valuable. The mix of mindset with the knowledge and the expertise to back it up, that's the secret sauce right there. Because if you want to run a well-designed business, you're going to need all of those things, right? Now, you need to be able to walk into a consultation with your clients with confidence to help them understand their own budget and needs, to communicate costs and to create an estimate and to execute in a way that provides a solid experience for them. So much of what Terri mentioned comes down to taking the emotion out of it, taking away the fear, taking away the doubt, taking away the panic or the scarcity or whatever the story in your head is about the money. When you have the data and the knowledge and the expertise, then you can write a new story, right? And you know what? You're not doing your clients any favors when you undercharge. They want to work with a peer, an expert, with someone who leads every aspect of the process with confidence in their design skills and their business skills. So if you want to learn how to take the emotional piece out and lean on your skills, how to stop undercharging and undervaluing yourself, and how to confidently name your price and pass the salt, Terri is your lady. Terri's Business Summit is coming up in November 2023, and the absolute value in this event is incredible. You can get your spot at the summit for just $15.97, and I have to tell you, that sounds like a deal, because you know what you can do with that information you're going to get over the next 2.5 days? You're going to 10 times that $15.97, probably in your next project. Okay. So if you're on the fence, head over and read some of the great testimonials Terri has on her site. You're going to see some valuable stories about how colleagues of like yours, okay, changed the game for themselves in their business, how they earned their money back with ease, and how they created a life they wanted for themselves using the skills and the mindset lessons that they learned from Terri. I highly encourage you to check it out. Okay, the link will be in the show notes. Let me know if you join up and you do it and what your reactions are to it. I'd love to know the first time you 10 times the value of doing this event with Terri. Thanks so much, Terri, as always, for sharing your wisdom, your advice. I just love it. We are like literally eyeball to eyeball on all the things. And thank you for listening. Decide to be excellent. Thank you for joining me today. This podcast is a production of LuAnn Niagara, Inc. If you want to know more about me, my books, or LuAnn University, go to LuAnnNiagara.com. And if you are interested in having WindowWorks help you with your next window treatment or awning project in the New York, New Jersey metro area, go to WindowWorksNJ.com to learn more. Have an excellent day.